there, Justin with Pool Elementary. And if you just bought a house that has a pool with a sand filter, or you just need a refresher on how to work your sand filter, or maybe you even just upgraded your above ground pool system to a sand filter, this video is for you. When it comes to your basic sand filter for your swimming pool, it's going to come with the filter itself, and it's also going to have a multi-port valve system. These multi-ports either come on the side, like this one, which is a side mount, or they'll be on the top of the sand filter itself, being a top mount. How these filters actually work is when the pump's running and it's in filter position, the water is basically going to cascade down over a layer of sand, which normally these filters are filled up about 2/3 to 3/4 of the way with sand, allowing the water to distribute over the sand, filtering it out. As the water goes down through the filter in the bottom, you're going to have either 5 to 10 laterals, which are little tubes with slots. The slots being tight enough to allow the water to pass through, but not let the sand get into your pool. They also come with a pressure switch on top and an air relief valve. So this pressure switch is basically going to tell us exactly how dirty this filter is. And as this pressure goes up about 6 to 8 pounds, you're going to want to backwash this filter and clean it. And we'll go over all the settings on this actual multi-port valve next. On your actual multi-port valve to your sand filter, you can see there's normally about 6 settings on these actual multi-port valves, being filter, waste, closed, backwash, recirculate, and rinse. So whenever you're using your filter to actually filter out the pool, you're always going to want this lever in filter position. So like I said, when it's in filter position on this multi-port valve, it's actually sending the water through the filter over top the sand or media that's in the filter and filtering it out and sending it back to the pool. The next setting that we'll go over is the waste setting. So whenever this multi-port valve is set to waste, what this is doing is sending the water from the pump to the multi-port valve and totally bypassing the filter itself, and then it's actually going to send the water out of the backwash line, or in this case we have just a flexible hose going out, and basically you're going to use the waste position to either drain your pool, or I like to use it when I'm manually vacuuming through the skimmer and I'm just trying to get everything that's on the bottom of the pool completely out, bypassing the filter and just getting it out of the pool, such as algae and really small particulate and debris that normally just goes straight through the filter. So it's a good way to actually vacuum your pool is to waste, or if you're draining your pool, you'll use waste. The next position is actually closed, and that's pretty straightforward. When this is in the closed position, it basically locks all the different ports to the lines. You're going to use this closed position whenever, say, you're actually cleaning out your hair basket on your pump and your return lines run higher than the actual multi-port valve or the sand filter. Another reason why you'd have to use closed is, say your pump house is submerged, meaning it's lower than the actual water in the pool. So another good feature, you can close this. This closes off the lines going to the returns, and then you can close off the actual valves to the front suction of the pump, and then you can actually open up this pump, clean out your hair basket, and you won't have all that water racing at you. The next one we'll go over is recirculate, and this is exactly what it says. The recirculate position on this multi-port valve basically is going to take the water from the pump, bypass the filter completely, and just send it straight to the return lines. So if anything was ever to happen to your filter or it was leaking, you could actually put it on recirculate, bypass the filter, and still run your pool. You also use the recirculate position while adding different products to the pool that you don't want going through the filter. One of them being is like a flocculant. Whenever you flock your pool, it's going to tell you to put it in the recirculate position so it bypasses the filter, so that way your filter doesn't just take all your flock out of the water while you're actually mixing it up. So what we have left after that is the backwash and the rinse. And I'm actually going to go over a full backwash with you guys to show you how easy it is to clean this filter and give you a good idea exactly how these pressure switches work. All right, now let's go over the actual pressure gauge and how we're gonna decide when we're gonna actually backwash this filter, okay? So when a filter is clean or it's been recently backwashed, that's gonna be our starting pressure on the pressure gauge. If you don't know what the starting pressure is on your actual pressure gauge, I'm gonna show you the best way to do this is to actually backwash the filter. So in order to do that with the pump off, we're going to rotate this multi-port to the backwash position. And then from here, we're going to make sure we have our backwash line ran out. If it's hard plumbed in, make sure there isn't any valves on it that are closed. And with this, we can turn on our pump. And as you can see, we got water coming out there. And on these actual multi-port valves, most of them will actually have a sight glass right here. And this sight glass is actually showing us what the water looks like coming out this actual hose. So normally this would be really milky and dirty if this filter was dirty. But as you can see, we've got crystal clear water coming out of this. And you can also just check the water coming out the actual end of the backwash hose. And if that water is crystal clear also, which this is, we know this filter is clean. So with this filter clean, we can go ahead and turn off our pump. And every time I backwash, this is the last setting that we haven't went over, and this is the rinse setting, okay? And I always like to rinse after I backwash, and what rinse does is it sends water through the actual filter, gets anything like cloudy water or anything we stirred up in there, and it'll actually send it out the backwash line also. And just make sure everything's cleaned out, so when we do put this back to the filter position to send the water back to the pool, we don't get a burst of cloudy water coming out of our return jets. So we'll go ahead and kick on the pump one more time on rinse. And I like to just rinse it for a good 15 to 20 seconds, just enough time to get all the water out of the filter, out the backwash line, and get a good rinse on it. And that'll assure us that we're not going to get a burst of cloudy water back in the pool. And we'll go to turn our pump back off. Then we'll come to our filter. We'll put this on filter position, and that's going to send our water back through our sand filter itself. Turn the pump back on. All right, so now we know this filter's clean, and this is going to give us an accurate starting filter pressure. So you can see that this pool runs at about 17 pounds on this pressure gauge when it's clean. Now on this, it says to clean the filter at about 10 pounds higher. I like to do it at about 6 pounds. Anything over 6 to 8 pounds, the filter's past due, and it's actually having a reverse effect by slowing down the water that's going through the filter, making your pump having to work harder. From the starting pressure point, 6 pounds, you want to backwash that filter. If you don't have one of these, just go ahead and take like a Sharpie, make a mark on your sight glass here at starting, and then just go up about 6 pounds, make another mark, and that then you'll know where to clean the actual filter. Now if this filter was up 6 pounds and it was time to backwash, this is where we would actually come over, turn the pump off, rotate this multi-port valve 180 degrees to backwash position, kick our pump on, watch our sight glass or the end of the hose till it's clear. I normally backwash, it usually takes about a minute or so, and it's clean. Once it's clean, turn our pump off, move our multi-port valve to rinse to clear any excess debris or cloudiness that's in the filter still. Run it on rinse for about 20 seconds. Turn our pump back off. Rotate our multi-port valve back to filter and turn our pump back on. And we've successfully backwashed this filter. It's back at our starting point, and we've got another 6 pounds before we have to actually backwash the filter again. If If you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment. I usually get back to the comments within about 24 hours, and I can answer any of those questions. But most all of these actual filters and multi-ports are pretty much the same. They're real simple. Don't be frantic or get worked up over them. They're a real simple process. And like I said, if you do have to change the sand, which we usually normally change them, you know, once every 5 years or so. Our pools are only open 8 months out of the year, so you might last a little longer than where you're from. But I highly recommend the glass media for these because it does bring down the micron and they do filter out cloudy and hazy pools better. Another happy pool with Pool Elementary.